Being chosen is often misunderstood as a badge of superiority, yet in truth, it is a mantle of responsibility. To be chosen means to be entrusted with something that must be carried with care, discipline, and awareness. It is not about being placed above others, but about being positioned for purpose. When a person is chosen, expectations increase, integrity must deepen, character must mature. There is a quiet demand for consistency in private as well as in public. Responsibility replaces comfort. The chosen life requires the courage to act wisely even when no one is watching, and to remain steady when emotions attempt to lead astray. It calls for thoughtful decisions, measured words, and actions that reflect alignment with a higher standard. This responsibility is not forced upon the unwilling, it is accepted through growth and awareness. The weight may feel heavy at times, yet it shapes resilience and clarity. To carry responsibility well is to understand that influence affects more than one life. Choices echo, attitudes transfer, discipline becomes example. A chosen person recognizes that every step leaves an imprint and therefore walks carefully, not in fear, but in intention. Responsibility also demands service rather than self-promotion. When someone understands they are chosen for a task, their focus shifts from personal gain to meaningful contribution. They begin to ask not what they can receive, but what they are meant to build, protect, or restore. This mindset transforms ambition into stewardship. Instead of chasing attention, they cultivate substance. Instead of seeking applause, they strengthen foundations. Responsibility means showing up, even when enthusiasm fades. It means honoring commitments when they become inconvenient. It means leading with humility rather than pride. There will be moments of pressure when the temptation to retreat feels strong. Yet, responsibility teaches endurance. It teaches patience in development and wisdom in timing. A chosen individual does not rush the process, nor do they avoid accountability. They understand that growth is ongoing and that mistakes, when acknowledged, become lessons rather than failures. In accepting responsibility, they embrace maturity. They realize that being chosen is not about status or title, but about faithfully managing what has been placed within their hands. Through steady effort, disciplined thought, and sincere intention, they fulfill their role with quiet strength and dependable character. The process of refinement through trials and challenges is rarely comfortable, yet it is necessary for growth. Refinement does not begin when life is easy. It begins when pressure exposes what is hidden beneath the surface. Challenges have a way of revealing attitudes, fears, strengths, and weaknesses that comfort keeps concealed. In moments of difficulty, reactions become mirrors. Impatience, doubt, courage, and endurance all rise to the surface. These moments are not designed to shame, but to shape. Refinement is a gradual process, not a single event. It works quietly, teaching lessons through experience rather than theory. When plans fail or expectations are delayed, resilience begins to develop. When misunderstandings arise, emotional control is tested. When effort goes unnoticed, motives are purified. Trials remove dependence on external validation and build internal stability. They teach focus, sharpen discernment, and strengthen commitment. A refined individual does not emerge from ease, but from persistence. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity to mature. Each setback becomes a lesson in adaptability. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming begin to feel manageable because strength has increased. Refinement transforms reaction into wisdom and pressure into progress. Challenges also clarify purpose. When everything flows smoothly, direction can feel optional, but difficulty demands intention. Trials ask important questions. What truly matters? What values will not be compromised? What habits must change? In answering these questions, clarity forms. Refinement strips away distractions and reveals priorities. It reduces dependence on approval and strengthens conviction. During difficult seasons, growth often feels slow, yet unseen development is taking place. Patience is being built, discipline is being established, perspective is being adjusted. Not every challenge is dramatic. Some are subtle and persistent, requiring daily endurance rather than sudden bravery. Consistency in small trials prepares a person for larger responsibilities. Refinement is not about punishment, it is about preparation. It does not remove individuality, it strengthens character. Those who endure trials thoughtfully emerge more balanced, more aware, and more capable of guiding others through similar experiences. In this way, challenges become teachers. They do not define a person by struggle, but by the strength developed through it. Refinement, accepted with humility and reflection, turns pressure into stability and adversity into lasting growth. Truth as an inner awakening begins quietly. It does not arrive with noise or public announcement, but with awareness. Many people search for validation from outside voices, hoping affirmation will confirm their identity. Yet real truth is not established by applause or agreement. It forms within, shaped by reflection, honesty, and growth. Inner awakening happens when a person pauses long enough to examine their thoughts, motives, and direction. It requires courage to face inconsistencies and humility to admit when change is needed. This awakening is not dramatic, it is steady. It unfolds as understanding deepens and confusion clears. When truth rises internally, it brings alignment between belief and action. Decisions become less influenced by pressure and more guided by conviction. External opinions lose their power to define worth. Instead of constantly seeking approval, a person begins to move with quiet confidence. Inner truth produces stability because it is not easily shaken by trends or temporary emotions. It becomes a compass, directing choices with clarity. Through self-examination and consistent learning, awareness grows stronger. This is not about perfection, but about authenticity. An awakened truth does not pretend. It acknowledges strengths and weaknesses without denial. In that honesty, growth becomes possible. External validation can encourage, but it cannot replace inner confirmation. When identity depends entirely on recognition, it becomes fragile. Praise may lift, but criticism can easily break what is built only on opinion. Inner awakening shifts that foundation. It teaches a person to measure progress by integrity rather than popularity. Silence becomes valuable because it allows space for reflection. In that quiet space, distractions fade and insight forms. Truth discovered internally influences relationships, work, and purpose. It guides communication, strengthens boundaries, and encourages consistency. This awakening also requires responsibility. Once truth is recognized, ignoring it creates tension within. Acting in alignment, however, produces peace. The journey toward inner truth is ongoing. New experiences reveal deeper layers of understanding. Growth continues as awareness expands. Rather than seeking constant confirmation from others, a person grounded in inner truth listens carefully, evaluates wisely, and acts deliberately. This kind of stability inspires trust. It shows that confidence does not require loudness, and conviction does not demand attention. Truth as an inner awakening transforms identity from something borrowed into something owned. It becomes a steady presence that shapes character and direction, guiding life from the inside outward with clarity and purpose. Silence and stillness create the environment where revelation becomes clear. In a world filled with constant noise, opinions, and distractions, clarity rarely speaks loudly. It emerges when movement slows and attention becomes intentional. Stillness is not inactivity, it is focused awareness. When a person chooses to pause, to step away from endless input, they begin to hear thoughts that were previously drowned out. Reflection becomes possible. Emotions settle. Perspective widens. Silence allows hidden concerns to surface and unprocessed experiences to be understood. It becomes a space for evaluation rather than reaction. Many avoid stillness because it feels unfamiliar, yet within it lies direction. In quiet moments, patterns become visible. Mistakes are recognized without defensiveness. Desires are examined with honesty. Stillness strengthens discernment by separating impulse from insight. It helps a person respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. Over time, this discipline builds wisdom. Decisions made from a place of calm carry greater clarity than those made in haste. Silence trains the mind to listen carefully and the heart to remain steady. It forms a foundation where truth can be recognized without confusion or pressure. Revelation often requires patience. Insight does not always arrive immediately, and stillness teaches endurance during uncertainty. When distractions are removed, deeper understanding has room to develop. This process cannot be rushed. Just as water settles after being stirred, the mind becomes clear when given time. In that clarity, direction forms naturally. Stillness also strengthens confidence. When guidance is received through reflection rather than impulse, doubt loses its intensity. There is a quiet assurance that decisions are aligned with thoughtful consideration. This does not mean challenges disappear, but it means responses become measured and grounded. Silence encourages intentional living. It sharpens focus on what truly matters and reduces attachment to what is temporary. Regular moments of stillness build emotional balance and mental discipline. They cultivate awareness of both strengths and areas needing growth. Over time, a person who values quiet reflection develops a steady presence. Others may move quickly, but this individual acts with calm certainty. In choosing stillness, they choose clarity over confusion and depth over distraction. Revelation, then, is not forced. It unfolds naturally within a heart and mind prepared to receive it. Courage to stand alone when called to a higher purpose is not loud or dramatic. It is steady and deliberate. There are moments in life when conviction separates a person from the crowd. Choosing integrity over convenience can create distance. Choosing principle over popularity can invite misunderstanding. Yet standing alone does not mean being abandoned. It means being anchored. When a person recognizes a higher responsibility in their life, they begin to make decisions that align with long-term purpose rather than short-term approval. This can feel uncomfortable. Familiar circles may question the change. Opportunities that once seemed attractive may no longer fit. In these moments, courage becomes essential. It is the strength to remain firm without hostility, confident without arrogance. Standing alone requires emotional discipline. It demands the ability to endure silence from others without doubting inner clarity. It also requires patience because results are not always immediate. A higher purpose often unfolds gradually, and during that unfolding, perseverance is tested. The courage to stand alone is not about proving others wrong. It is about remaining true to what is right. Over time, consistency builds credibility. What once seemed unusual becomes respected. The path may narrow, but it becomes clearer with each faithful step. There is also growth that can only happen in seasons of solitude. When external voices grow quiet, internal strength develops. Standing alone sharpens self-awareness and deepens resilience. It teaches independence in thought and stability in decision-making. Without constant reinforcement from others, conviction becomes personal rather than borrowed. This maturity allows a person to lead with authenticity instead of imitation. Higher purpose often requires vision that others cannot immediately see. That vision must be protected with discipline and focus. Doubt may attempt to weaken resolve, yet courage answers with steady commitment. It is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to surrender to it. Those who learn to stand alone gain clarity about their values and direction. They discover that approval is temporary, but purpose is enduring. In time, what required courage becomes natural. Strength replaces hesitation. Confidence replaces uncertainty. Standing alone transforms from a challenge into a testimony of growth. Through perseverance, character is refined and direction is solidified. The journey may begin in isolation, but it produces leadership grounded in conviction, humility, and unwavering dedication to what truly matters. The difference between public recognition and divine confirmation is often misunderstood. Public recognition is visible, immediate, and influenced by perception. It comes through applause, titles, awards, and acknowledgement from others. While appreciation can encourage growth, it is not always an accurate measure of true purpose. Recognition depends on audience, timing, and trends. It can increase quickly and disappear just as fast. Because it is external, it often reflects performance more than character. A person may be widely celebrated, yet privately uncertain. Public approval can create pressure to maintain an image rather than nurture authenticity. When identity becomes attached to recognition, decisions may shift toward pleasing expectations instead of honoring conviction. This is why recognition, though valuable in its place, must never become the foundation of worth. It is temporary and sometimes inconsistent. Applause can be loud one season and silent the next. Without deeper grounding, this shift can create instability. Understanding the limits of public recognition protects a person from building confidence on unstable ground. It encourages humility during praise and resilience during criticism. Recognition may highlight achievement, but it does not always confirm alignment with true purpose. Divine confirmation, however, operates differently. It is internal before it is external. It brings peace rather than pressure and clarity rather than performance. This confirmation does not rely on crowds or visibility. It settles within the heart as assurance that one is walking in alignment with a higher calling. Even when recognition is absent, this inner certainty remains steady. It strengthens perseverance when efforts go unnoticed and sustains integrity when compromise would be easier. Divine confirmation is not driven by comparison. It is rooted in conviction. It allows a person to celebrate others without insecurity and to work diligently without constant validation. This type of assurance develops through reflection, obedience, and consistent character. It does not demand attention, yet it produces quiet confidence. When recognition and confirmation align, gratitude should follow. When they do not, wisdom chooses confirmation over applause. A life guided by deeper assurance becomes stable and focused. It is not easily swayed by trends or discouraged by silence. Instead, it continues forward with calm determination. In understanding this difference, a person learns to value substance over spotlight and faithfulness over fame, building a foundation that endures beyond temporary praise. Walking in alignment with truth despite opposition requires steady conviction. Opposition often appears when direction becomes clear. It may come through criticism, misunderstanding, or subtle pressure to compromise. When a person chooses to live according to deeply held principles, not everyone will agree. Some may question the decision. Others may resist the change. In these moments, alignment becomes a daily choice rather than a single declaration. It involves acting consistently with values even when the outcome is uncertain. Remaining aligned demands emotional control. Words must be measured. Reactions must be thoughtful. It is easy to defend aggressively or retreat completely. Yet true alignment stands firm without hostility. It does not require constant explanation, nor does it seek conflict. Instead, it reflects stability. When opposition rises, it tests the depth of conviction. If truth has been carefully examined and sincerely embraced, it will withstand pressure. Temporary discomfort cannot outweigh long-term integrity. The ability to continue forward calmly, even when misunderstood, strengthens character. Each decision made in alignment builds inner confidence. Over time, resistance loses its intensity because consistency proves authenticity. Opposition also refines motivation. It reveals whether a person is guided by approval or by principle. If alignment depends on agreement, it will weaken under pressure. However, when truth is rooted in careful reflection and disciplined growth, it becomes resilient. Walking in alignment does not mean refusing correction. Wisdom listens, evaluates, and adjusts when necessary, but it does not abandon core values simply to avoid discomfort. There may be seasons when progress feels slow because resistance creates obstacles. During those times, patience becomes essential. Calm persistence often speaks louder than argument. Integrity demonstrated consistently can soften even strong opposition. Not every critic will be convinced, yet steady character earns respect over time. Walking in alignment also brings internal peace. Even when circumstances feel challenging, there is clarity in knowing that actions reflect belief. This clarity reduces regret and strengthens resolve. In the end, opposition becomes part of the journey rather than a barrier to it. It shapes resilience, deepens understanding, and confirms commitment. A life aligned with truth may encounter resistance, but it also carries strength that cannot easily be shaken. Becoming a light that guides others through lived example begins with personal consistency. Influence is not established through words alone, but through daily actions repeated over time. People observe patterns before they accept advice. When behavior aligns with values, credibility forms naturally. This kind of influence does not demand attention. It attracts trust. A guiding presence is developed in ordinary moments, in how challenges are handled, in how responsibilities are honored, and in how others are treated when no reward is expected. Small decisions create visible character. Patience during difficulty, honesty in conversation, and fairness in leadership become signals that others recognize. Light, in this sense, is clarity in conduct. It helps others see that stability and growth are possible. The goal is not perfection, but reliability. When mistakes occur, accountability strengthens rather than weakens influence. Admitting error models maturity, choosing correction models discipline. Through lived example, guidance becomes practical rather than theoretical. It shows that principles can be applied in real situations. Over time, steady character provides direction to those searching for reassurance. Guiding others also requires empathy and awareness. A light does not overpower, it illuminates gently. Understanding the struggles of others allows guidance to be supportive rather than critical. Listening becomes as important as speaking. When people feel understood, they become open to growth. A lived example encourages without forcing. It creates space for others to develop at their own pace. Consistency builds confidence in those observing. They see resilience during hardship and humility during success. These patterns communicate that strength and kindness can exist together. Becoming a light does not mean seeking recognition. Often, the greatest impact is quiet and unseen. A conversation offered at the right time, a steady presence during uncertainty, or a disciplined approach to responsibility can influence more than grand gestures. Over time, example shapes environment. It raises standards without demanding them. It encourages integrity without constant correction. By living intentionally and maintaining alignment with truth, a person naturally becomes a point of reference for others. In this way, guidance is not imposed, it is demonstrated, and through demonstration, it inspires lasting change. Embracing humility while carrying a significant calling is essential for lasting impact. When responsibility increases, there is a natural temptation to focus on status or authority. Yet humility keeps perspective clear. It reminds a person that purpose is entrusted, not self-created. Humility does not diminish confidence, it balances it. It allows strength to operate without arrogance and leadership to function without control. A humble individual remains teachable even after achieving progress. They understand that growth is continuous and that wisdom can come from unexpected sources. This posture protects character. It prevents success from distorting judgment. Humility also strengthens relationships. People respond more openly to those who lead with respect rather than superiority. When correction is needed, it is delivered with fairness. When guidance is offered, it is shared with patience. Carrying a calling with humility means recognizing that influence exists to serve, not to dominate. It encourages gratitude for opportunity and awareness of responsibility. Through humility, purpose remains grounded. Decisions are shaped by values rather than ego. Over time, this steady balance sustains credibility and fosters trust among those who observe the journey. Humility also provides resilience during seasons of misunderstanding or challenge. When criticism arises, a humble perspective evaluates it carefully instead of reacting defensively. It distinguishes between helpful feedback and unnecessary negativity. This discernment strengthens maturity. A person who carries responsibility with humility does not rely on constant affirmation. They remain focused on faithful effort rather than personal image. In moments of success, humility prevents pride from overshadowing purpose. In moments of difficulty, it prevents discouragement from becoming defeat. It keeps attention centered on growth. Humility encourages collaboration rather than isolation. It recognizes the value of shared insight and collective effort. This openness enhances effectiveness and broadens impact. Furthermore, humility fosters authenticity. There is no need to exaggerate achievements or conceal weaknesses. Transparency builds deeper trust and stronger influence. Over time, humility becomes a quiet strength. It allows a person to carry significant responsibility without losing balance. By remaining grounded, teachable, and service-oriented, they ensure that their calling benefits others rather than elevating self-interest. In this way, humility preserves both character and purpose, creating a lasting foundation for meaningful contribution.